In the busy local market, Alex, a young worker with Down syndrome, was having a tough first day at his new job. He was trying his best to stay calm and do his work, but everything was about to change when an angry customer started being mean to him. The customer yelled at him and said cruel things while everyone around them stayed silent and didn't help. Alex, a 21-year-old man with Down syndrome, was known for being kind and hardworking. Even though he had a positive attitude and a strong desire to help others, he faced some tough challenges in his life that most people didn't know about. His relationship with his former stepdad had been hard. His stepdad had been cold and often hurt Alex's feelings with his words. When Alex was a child, he could remember sitting at the kitchen table while his stepdad yelled at him, saying things like, "You'll never amount to anything, and don't even try." Those words stayed with Alex for a long time. But despite the hurtful things his stepdad said, Alex decided he wasn't going to let them hold him back. He worked hard every day to show that he was stronger than the negative words that had been said to him. On this particular day, Alex walked into the local market with a bright smile, excited to start his new job. The market was small but busy, with shelves full of various products, and the sound of shopping carts rolling over the floor. Alex wore his uniform proudly and walked through the main door. He was greeted by Luke, the store manager, who welcomed him with a warm smile. "Welcome to the team, Alex. We're really happy to have you with us," Luke said, shaking Alex's hand. "Thank you, sir. I'll do my best," Alex replied eagerly, feeling excited but nervous about his first day. Alex was quickly introduced to his tasks. He was taught how to organize products on the shelves, help customers, and bag groceries. He paid close attention, making sure to remember every detail, determined to do a good job. His coworkers noticed how hard he was trying, but some of them quietly whispered to each other about his slower pace. "He's a bit slow, isn't he?" one coworker muttered, not realizing that Alex could hear them. Alex pretended not to hear the comments, choosing instead to keep his focus on his work. By the end of the day, Alex was exhausted but proud of what he had accomplished. As he bagged the last customer's groceries, he looked around with a feeling of relief, knowing that his first day was almost over. He didn't realize, though, that there was a customer in line who had been watching him closely, growing more and more impatient. That's when Linda entered the store. Linda was a 45-year-old woman who walked with purpose and had an air of superiority around her. She wore high heels that clicked loudly on the floor, announcing her arrival. Linda was already upset before she even stepped into the store. As soon as she saw the checkout lines, she let out a loud sigh. "These stores never know how to organize things," she muttered, making sure that everyone around her could hear. She grabbed a cart and rushed down the aisles, throwing items into the cart without paying much attention. If she saw a child in her way or someone else taking their time to compare prices, she gave them an angry look or rolled her eyes. After filling her cart, Linda rushed to the checkout. There wasn't much of a line, but Linda wasn't in the mood to wait. She stood behind Alex's line, watching him carefully. Alex, who was still bagging the groceries from the previous customer, was moving slowly, trying to do his job right. Linda couldn't hide her frustration. "Is this for real?" she muttered, loud enough for Alex to hear. "How can someone be this slow?" Finally, when it was Linda's turn, she slammed her items down onto the counter, showing just how angry she was. Alex greeted her with a polite smile. "Good morning, ma'am," he said softly. But Linda didn't return the smile. Instead, she glared at him and replied with a sarcastic tone, "I hope it's good because I don't have all day." Alex tried his best to stay calm. He carefully scanned Linda's items, double-checking the prices, and bagged them neatly. But Linda just stared at him, her gaze making Alex feel uncomfortable. "Is this going to take long?" Linda asked, tapping her fingers on the counter impatiently. "Honestly, it feels like I'm watching this in slow motion." Alex's face turned red with embarrassment. His hands started to shake and he tried to move faster, but it only made things worse. One of the packages slipped from his hand and fell to the floor. Alex bent down quickly to pick it up. Linda's voice rang out, "Oh my God, he can't even hold a bag," she shouted, looking around the store as though waiting for others to agree with her. Alex was so embarrassed that he couldn't even look up. He was trying his best, but the pressure was getting too much. His hands were shaking and he was on the verge of tears. Linda didn't stop. She crossed her arms and leaned closer to the counter, almost getting in Alex's face. "Someone needs to do something about this," she said, raising her voice. "This is ridiculous. I don't have all day to deal with this." Some of the customers in line started to whisper to each other, and a few even pulled out their phones to record the scene. Alex wanted to speak up, to defend himself, but the words wouldn't come. He felt trapped and the tears were threatening to fall. He looked over to Luke, the manager, who was across the store busy with other things. Alex could feel his chest tighten, the memories of his stepdad's cruel words flooding back into his mind. He remembered how his stepdad used to say, "You're dead weight and everyone knows it." The hurtful words echoed in his mind, and he felt like he was shrinking under Linda's gaze. "I just want to help," Alex whispered to himself, trying to hold back the tears. Linda stepped closer to Alex and, in a voice dripping with disdain, said, "Someone needs to teach you how to do a real job. You're holding everyone up." Her voice was loud enough for everyone in the store to hear. "Who hired you anyway?" It must have been out of pity. Alex's heart pounded in his chest. His face was red with shame and his eyes were starting to water. He couldn't bear it any longer. The cruel words were cutting through him, just like his stepdad's words had when he was a child. He tried to focus on the groceries, but his mind kept drifting to the past. At that moment, the sound of footsteps interrupted the tension in the air. It was a firm, purposeful stride, growing louder as it approached. Everyone in the store stopped talking and turned their attention to the checkout line, where the scene was unfolding. Linda was still glaring at Alex, her words sharp as knives. But before she could say anything more, the sound of footsteps drew closer. Alex didn't notice who was walking towards them at first, but the tension in the store was palpable. It was as if the whole store was holding its breath. The footsteps stopped and the atmosphere shifted. Everyone looked up to see who had arrived. It was none other than a famous Hollywood actor who had been quietly observing the scene. He had seen enough. The actor walked up to Linda and his voice, calm yet firm, filled the air. "Excuse me, ma'am, but what you're doing is completely unacceptable," he said, staring directly at her. Linda, surprised by the sudden attention, tried to brush it off. "What do you know about this?" "He's too slow in making everyone wait," she retorted. The actor shook his head. "That's not the point," he said, his voice unwavering. "The way you're treating him is wrong. We all have challenges and some of us move at a different pace. That doesn't make anyone less worthy of respect." He turned to Alex and gave him a reassuring smile. "You're doing a great job, Alex," he said warmly. Linda's face turned bright red, and the customers in the store began to murmur among themselves, some nodding in agreement with the actor. The attention she had been seeking quickly shifted away from Alex, and for the first time that day, Alex felt a sense of relief. Alex didn't know what to say, but he felt his heart lighten. The actor's words had made him feel seen and valued in a way he hadn't felt all day. And for the first time, Alex smiled through his tears, knowing that sometimes kindness can come from the most unexpected places. She shouted, throwing her arms up. "I can't believe I have to deal with this." The people in line looked at their phones or at the ground, feeling uncomfortable but not wanting to help. An older lady at the back of the line leaned toward her husband and whispered, "Isn't someone going to do something? That poor boy looks so lost." The husband shrugged and said quietly, "I don't know. We don't want to cause trouble, do we?" Linda didn't seem to notice how uncomfortable everyone was. She was too focused on her anger. Her voice got louder as Alex, who was working, started to lose his patience. The store, which had once felt friendly, now felt heavy and uncomfortable to Alex. He looked around and saw that people were either judging him, feeling sorry for him, or not caring. The bright lights in the store made him feel dizzy and made everything seem worse. Linda kept yelling, making sure everyone in line could hear her. "This is what we're paying for? This kind of service? He's too slow. This is unacceptable." The people in line could feel the tension in the air. It felt like everyone was waiting for something to happen, but no one did anything. Some customers tried to ignore Linda, while others nervously looked from her to Alex, wishing someone would speak up. Alex, still trying his best to bag the groceries, finally spoke up. His voice was quiet and shaking. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm trying my best." Linda turned to him, getting even closer, and said, "Trying? That's not good enough. People have places to be, and you're wasting everyone's time." Alex looked down, feeling small and like he couldn't do anything right. His hands shook so much that another bag of groceries fell to the floor. The sound was loud in the quiet store, making him feel even worse. Linda laughed in a mean way. "Oh my God, he can't even hold a bag. This is so sad." Some people in line started looking at each other, uncomfortable. A younger man pulled out his phone to record what was happening. He whispered to the person next to him, "This is terrible, but who's going to stop her?" The woman shrugged, looking worried. "She's so aggressive. I don't want to get involved." At the back of the line, an older woman thought about stepping forward. She looked at Alex and felt bad for him. But she wasn't sure if she should do anything. It felt like a big decision and she didn't know if she could handle it. Linda, seeing that no one was stopping her, got even angrier. She looked at Alex again and yelled, "If you can't do this job, go find something else to do. Someone needs to tell you that." Alex, still shaking, tried to keep bagging the groceries. He was breathing deeply, but the air felt hard to breathe. His hands were sweaty and kept dropping things. He couldn't look at Linda anymore. From across the store, Luke, the manager, noticed something was wrong. He looked toward Alex's checkout line but was too far away to hear clearly. He started walking over, but another customer stopped him to ask for help. Linda kept yelling. She crossed her arms and looked at the other customers in line, hoping they would agree with her. "Do you all see this? We're all being delayed because of him. It's crazy that someone like this is working here." The people in line started talking more, but no one said anything to stop Linda. The tension in the air grew. Everyone felt like something needed to happen. From the side of the store, hidden behind the shelves, a man stood and watched everything. He didn't look surprised, just calm. His face was hard to read, but he was paying attention to everything happening. He stood quietly thinking. Alex didn't see him, but it felt like the air around him was changing. It felt like something important was about to happen, but Alex didn't know what. Linda, however, didn't notice anything. She kept yelling at Alex. The tension in the store kept growing. People were still uncomfortable and whispering. The man, still calm, took a step forward. He stood taller and looked more visible to everyone. He kept his eyes on Linda. Some of the customers started noticing him. They could feel something was about to change. Alex looked up for a second and saw the man. The man's calm eyes made Alex feel better, even though he didn't know why. Linda, about to yell again, stopped when the man stepped closer. The whole store seemed to stop for a moment. The man's voice was calm but strong. "That's enough," he said. His words were clear and serious. Everyone turned to see who had spoken. Linda froze for a second, surprised. The man kept walking toward her. His steps were slow, but they grabbed everyone's attention. "Who is that?" someone whispered in the line. "Is that really him?" another person asked, pulling out their phone to record. The man stepped into full view of everyone. He wasn't dressed fancy, just in a shirt and pants, but his presence was clear. Linda looked at him with confusion and a little anger. "And who do you think you are, telling me how to act?" she said sarcastically. But there was a hint of nervousness in her voice. The man stopped a few steps away from her and looked at her calmly. "I'm not telling you how to act," he said in a voice that was calm but firm. "I'm saying what you're doing is wrong." Linda blinked, surprised. "Wrong? You don't even know what's going on." "I'm just telling the truth. This boy is slowing us all down." The man smiled a little, but his eyes stayed serious. "The truth? The truth is he's doing his job. And you're choosing to make fun of him for it. There's a difference between telling the truth and using it to hurt someone." People in line started talking louder now, but this time they were talking about Linda, not Alex. Alex still felt like he couldn't move, but he looked at the man and felt a little better. It was like someone had finally listened to him. The man turned to Alex, his voice gentle. "What's your name?" he asked kindly. Alex looked up, his voice shaking as he answered. "I'm Alex." The man smiled at him. "Alex, you're doing a great job. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." He put a hand on Alex's shoulder as if giving him some of his confidence. "We all have tough days, but that doesn't mean they define us. Do you understand?" Alex nodded slowly, feeling a little lighter. He was so thankful for this stranger. He didn't know what to say, but he felt like he didn't have to carry the heavy feeling anymore. Linda, now feeling unsure of herself, crossed her arms and laughed nervously. "Look, I don't know who you think you are, but this has nothing to do with you. I just want fast service, and he's clearly not doing the job right." Keanu turned to Linda and his face became serious. "I believe in respect," he said. "Being kind doesn't cost anything, and you've clearly forgotten that." Linda scoffed, but this time her voice didn't sound as strong. "I have the right to be upset. I'm wasting my time here," she said. Keanu nodded, staying calm. "You're allowed to feel upset, but that doesn't give you the right to take it out on someone who hasn't done anything wrong, especially someone who's here to help you." The customers, who had been quiet until now, started to speak up. A woman standing in the middle of the line raised her voice so everyone could hear. "He's right. It's not fair to treat him like that." Another person standing near Linda added, "We're all waiting in line, so why do you think you should get special treatment?" More people started agreeing with Keanu. Linda looked around, realizing that no one was on her side. Instead, she found herself surrounded by disapproving looks. Some people even pulled out their phones to record what was happening. The energy in the market had changed completely. What had been a moment of her being rude was now turning into a moment where everyone stood together to support Alex. Before leaving, Keanu turned back to Alex, who was still behind the counter. Keep being yourself, Keanu said with a warm smile. Because who you are is already enough. As Keanu walked out of the market, the customers kept clapping for him, but Alex knew this moment wasn't about Keanu. It was about him. For the first time in a long time, Alex felt like he mattered. He looked at the customers in the line and for the first time he saw kindness in their faces. The sound of Linda's heels faded as she left through the automatic doors, and there was a brief silence. But soon the silence was filled with people talking about what had just happened. She had no right to talk to him like that, an older woman said to the person next to her. That was amazing, another person said. I can't believe Keanu Reeves showed up here. The people around were still in shock. Meanwhile, Alex was standing behind the counter, still trying to process everything. He stared at his hands as if trying to understand how a moment of humiliation had changed into something so powerful. Luke, the market manager, finally came over to check on him. He placed a hand on Alex's shoulder with concern. Are you okay, Alex? Luke asked. Alex looked up at Luke and gave a small smile. Yes, I'm okay, he said. There was something different in his voice, a sense of confidence he hadn't felt before. Keanu's words kept echoing in Alex's mind. Your worth isn't measured by how fast you bag groceries. Your worth is who you are. Alex took a deep breath, like he was letting go of something heavy he had carried for a long time. As he went back to work, the customers in line started treating him differently. A woman smiled at him and said, You're doing a great job, Alex. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. An older man in the line also spoke up. Keep it up, son. You've got more courage than most people. These small but kind words felt like they were rebuilding Alex's confidence, piece by piece. The atmosphere in the market was completely different now. It felt less like a place where people just bought things and more like a community where everyone cared about each other. The customers started chatting among themselves, praising Alex for his strength and kindness. A young woman, still holding her phone, walked up to Luke. That was incredible. Did you see how Keanu handled everything? You should post this on social media. People need to see how amazing Alex is. Luke smiled and nodded. I agree, but right now the most important thing is making sure Alex knows how much we care about him. For the first time, the market didn't feel like just a store. It felt like a place where kindness and respect mattered. When Alex's shift finally ended, he walked to the locker room slowly, reflecting on everything that had happened that day. He sat down on a wooden bench, looking at his uniform. For so long he had felt invisible. He thought that people only saw his mistakes or his differences. But today was different. Keanu's words had given him a new sense of pride in himself. He remembered his mom's words that morning, telling him how important he was to their family. Now, for the first time, Alex was starting to believe it. Outside the market, Keanu was walking toward his parked car. He wasn't looking for applause or recognition. He was just doing what he believed was right. Before getting into his car, he looked back at the market one last time and smiled. He knew that moment wasn't about him, it was about Alex. Keanu understood that a single act of kindness could change a whole day, maybe even someone's life. The next day the story spread. The video of Keanu standing up for Alex went viral. Millions of people watched it. Hashtags like #RespectForAlex and #KindnessMatters trended all over the world, reminding people how important it is to treat everyone with dignity. People who were there that day shared their experiences, and others began thinking about how even the smallest acts of kindness could have a huge impact. Alex, who had once been afraid of being noticed, was now seen as a symbol of strength and courage. The narrator closed the story with a reflection on the power of our choices. Every day we have the chance to be kind, they said. We can lift others up instead of bringing them down. No act is too small to make a difference. In the end, we all play a part in creating a world where kindness and respect are the norm. The next morning, as Alex walked to the market, he felt different. He no longer carried the weight of the cruel words that used to haunt him. Instead, he carried the words of encouragement and support he had received the day before. When he walked into the market, people in the checkout line greeted him with warm smiles and kind words. Alex smiled back, feeling like he truly belonged. And in that moment, he knew he would never feel alone again. If you enjoyed this story, share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories. I'll see you in the next video.